The movie tells the story of Kia Clark, a girl who grew up isolated in the swamps of North Carolina. It is a story that begins with an intriguing discovery and continues in a spirit of deep exploration of human nature, social isolation, and complex emotional experiences. The movie is set in the 50s, in a small village. It all begins with the discovery of the body of local resident Chase Andrews, a popular young man from the village, resulting in an investigation. Chase's death shocks the residents, and suspicion falls on Kia Clark, a local outcast known as the Girl from the Swamp. This mysterious and lonely girl lives in the swamps in complete seclusion, causing those around her to view her with distrust and even fear. Kia Clark grew up in difficult circumstances. Her childhood was spent in a remote cabin in the swamp, far from civilization. Kia's family fell on hard times due to the abusive behavior of her father, who was prone to violence and alcoholism. This led to Kia's mother leaving home one day, leaving the children to fend for themselves. Soon Kia's siblings also left home, unable to stand their father's cruelty. Eventually the father himself disappeared as well, leaving Kia alone. Left alone, Kia was forced to learn how to survive on her own. She turned to nature, and the swamps and forests surrounding her home became her teachers. The girl found solace in studying the world around her and began to learn its laws in depth. Her knowledge and observations of nature became the basis for her future scientific discoveries. The only person who was able to break through the walls Kia had erected around herself was Tate Walker, a friend of her older brother. Tate found her lonely and disconnected, and began teaching her to read and write. A strong friendship developed between them, which grew into a romantic relationship. Tate awakened Kia's interest in science and literature, and she soon began to record her observations in notebooks, which in the future turned into valuable scientific papers. However, when Tate leaves for college, he promises to return but fails to fulfill his promise. Kia is left alone, her faith in people shaken. She soon meets Chase Andrews, who seems to be her new friend and partner. Chase is a popular and charismatic young man from the city, and a relationship with him begins to develop, giving Kia new hope. However, Chase deceived Kia, and it was a big blow to her. It turned out that Chase was engaged to another girl, and his interest in Kia was nothing more than a crush. Moreover, he tried to harass her, but Kia managed to defend herself and cut off the relationship. Despite this, their relationship became known in the village and caused disapproval and condemnation among the villagers. After Chase is found dead, the local community, already wary and unfriendly towards Kia, is quick to accuse her of murder. Kia is arrested and tried for a crime she did not commit. This leads to a public outcry and a lengthy trial. At the trial, Kia is defended by attorney Tom Milton, who believes in her innocence. He provides evidence that the evidence against Kia is circumstantial and based on societal bias rather than factual evidence. Tom points out the lack of direct evidence to prove Kia's guilt and the many gaps in the prosecution's case. During the trial, facts are revealed that show Kia is a person with a deep love for nature and the outdoors. The prosecution insists that Kia had a motive to kill Chase, but the defense emphasizes that she had no opportunity to commit the crime. Tom Milton builds the defense on the argument that Kia did not have the time or opportunity to return from the crime scene to her home as quickly as the prosecution claims. In the end, the jury finds Kia not guilty due to the lack of evidence and the questionable nature of the charges. After the trial, Kia returns to her life in the swamp. She stays in her secluded home and continues to explore nature, recording her observations. Her work becomes well known and she publishes several books that are recognized in scientific circles. Despite the hardships, Kia manages to maintain her independence and determination. Shortly after the trial, Tate re-enters Kia's life. He confesses his love and that he regrets the past. He apologizes for leaving her and not keeping his promise to return. Their relationship is rekindled and they begin to build a life together. Tate and Kia find happiness in each other's company, and their love becomes a strong foundation for their future. Years later, Kia dies, and after her death, Tate discovers a stash of a diary in her house. From the entries contained in the diary, it becomes clear that Kia was indeed involved in Chase's death. She managed to create the perfect alibi and hide her actions from everyone, including the court system and Tate himself. This shocking fact adds a new layer to the perception of her personality and the circumstances in which she lived. The movie explores many complex themes such as loneliness, betrayal, and the pursuit of freedom and justice. Nature and the marshes play an important role in the story, symbolizing both isolation and refuge for the protagonist. Kia, living in harmony with the world around her, embodies strength and independence despite all the hardships she has faced. The story of Kia Clark is not only a detective about a mysterious murder, but also a profound look at the life and struggles of a young woman who managed to withstand difficult conditions and find herself. It is also a reflection on the nature of human isolation and the bias of a society that tends to label those who don't fit into accepted norms. Kia, as a swamp girl, becomes a victim of society's judgment and prejudice, yet she retains her inner resilience and faith in her own strength. The movie also raises questions about social inequality and how society often makes judgments about people based on stereotypes and prejudice. As an outcast, Kia constantly faces injustice and mistrust, but despite this she finds the strength to move forward. Her story is a reminder of the importance of acceptance and understanding, and that true strength lies in the ability to be true to oneself despite external pressures. I End This Way, it is not just a movie about crime, but a story of inner strength, survival, and personal growth, making it a deeply moving and memorable work.